It's my pleasure to introduce Jona and Charly.
Thanks, Pauli, and thanks for the great event. Pleasure to be here, and I'll be here to introduce Charly. So what we do is we turn this into that and rent it out. It sounds very basic, but let me expand on that. Let me explain how we got there. The hotel industry in Europe is revenue around 200 billion per year, and the global industry is above 1 trillion. And the overwhelming majority of hotels are actually not operated by a chain. So let's take the example of Germany. 1 out of 10 hotels is operated by a chain, which means 9 out of 10 are not, which to me already seems crazy. If we cross-reference this with the chain penetration in terms of rooms, it makes more sense. 40% of German hotel rooms are operated by chains. So the interesting thing there is, this means that the chain hotel is 4 times as big as the non-chain hotel. If we look at German cities, for example, or also Barcelona, if we look around and we look at the houses around us, we can see that most houses are not bigger than 50, 60 rooms, or in my head it's rooms, but it's 1,000 to 2,000 square meters, which is obviously too small for a chain because a chain wants to go to 100, 150 rooms and over. With the whole sustainability thing coming up sooner than later, especially in construction, we now face a problem, and the chains face problems. They have no building plots. We can't tear down buildings. How do we get into the prime locations? And the idea is to go smaller, but chains really, they're not structured to do this. They've been structured for around 100 years. Not to do that, but to go bigger and reap the economies of scale and get extra 2% of operating margin. So this is where we come in. What we do is we create an operator brand. It's called Charly. You will find hotels or accommodations that are called Charly. There are accommodations called by Charly. And what we do is we offer all the advantages that chain hotels do, right? All the scale, all the centralization of services. But what we do is we reimagine the customer journey and we put a tech stack on every accommodation we have. And this way we're able to reduce the personnel we need by 60 to 80% from a traditional hotel. And we're actually able to operate hotels with 50 rooms profitable again. So, this is very short because we only have 5 minutes. We already secured 660 rooms. What this means is we have 50 rooms operational. We had revenue of around 80,000 in November. We had a lifetime value with a first go live in July of around €250,000. We have 110 additional rooms under contract, which we convert right now. We're more or less involved in this. It depends on the project. And we have a capital commitment of a property company, which is owned by our pre-seed investors. And they committed an asset value equal to 100 million to invest in real estate, which, well, we do it on their behalf, but they do all the headaches that come with real estate. So in total, we have secured 660 rooms. In the next 18 months, so we're here right now, it's actually October, but November should be the same. We are looking to scale in the next 18 months from 80,000 in revenue to 800,000. And this will be around 330 rooms live by mid-2023. And we're right now looking at 4 million euros to finance operations until summer 2023. The problem with hotel business is that we need to spend a lot of money on investments that aren't investments, but are actually 0% investments, which is deposits. So we need 30% of this money to actually just cover deposits, which are invested at 0% interest. Good or bad, depends on the time. And 20% we will invest in CapEx and OpEx. So this is substantially lower than any operator can because we cover most of CapEx and OpEx costs through the PropCo of our pre-seed investors. And finally, the majority, 50%, will be invested in growing the team. So right now we're 15 people. We're aiming to grow to around 35 people by the time we do the next funding round. And we're going to build this brand and tech infrastructure I was just talking about. That's it. Thank you. Any questions?
How do I have to get that very simple? You go to a hotel, say, hello, here, I'm Charly and I love you, and your hotel could be brought in a better shape and you generate more income when you give me the chance to take your hotel for whatever, 4 weeks, or how long do you take for the renovation? What are they doing during this time? Do you do that during the hotel is open? Does it have to close?
Currently, we're much more integrated in that sense. We're integrated as an operator. We do rental contracts. And what we do with the PropCo of our investors, we buy hotels. So this year we bought 5 hotels in Bonn, Cologne, Berlin, Bonn again, and Lübeck. And we refurbish them in the sense that we do the design, we do the construction specifications with our interior designers, and then they build it for us. And this is what Bonn, for example, will look like. This is our corporate design. And then we operate them. So this is the very integrated model we have. Then we have a slightly less integrated model, like the property we did in Berlin, which we bought, sold again, put us as a lessee in there, and had around 350,000 in budget to renovate. And we did this in 58 days. So we converted the hotel in 58 days. We renovated, we put in 15 kitchens, and we sold the first room 58 days after we received the keys.
So let's make a simple example. We're looking at a hotel to buy in Mallorca tomorrow, and it has 55 rooms, so we would be your client. We buy the hotel, and what are you doing then? You are basically making you're basically making the plans that it gets renovated, and I have to pay for it later, or how does it work?
You as an investor, quite simply, we offer you a normal rental agreement. We say these are the specifications we need. This is the hardware we need. This is the software which we bring, and then we have a rental agreement. So you would be my lessee, and you would operate the hotel. Exactly.
So I get whatever 6, 7, 8% rent on the investment that I have made on total investment, or what is the percentage that you?
It depends. The PropCo right now has a yield on asset value of 5 point and a bit.
Okay. That's the reason why you need the deposits, because basically the landlords want to know that you are able to pay the rent.
The PropCo is leveraged to a normal extent in Germany, and we need the deposits to actually be able to get the rental contracts without the bank throwing us out.
And who's paying the renovation? The
landlords? Yeah, the investors. Yeah.
You also said that 50% of the investment going to the growing team, yeah? And I calculated that it would be 5,500 euros per person. Is it not too much for a startup for paying for the employer?
5,500 per person per month. So the question was, half of the 4 million is invested in team, and then you calculate it down to the employee. And it's 5,000.
Too much to startups.
5,500 for an employee for a startup. That is too much. In this, there's significant work in the tech stack, so we're not building everything ourselves. Doing some co-developments, and there's significant work with the branding. It's a lot of it's a lot of actual work. So designs like this, they don't go for 5K. It's a lot more.
What do you do different than other hotel operators then?
Well, let me expand on this for a little bit, because it's an important part of the customer journey that we digitize. So what we do is, and I have a good story for this, because I was in Hamburg a couple of weeks back, and I was at Ruby. And I don't know how many people know Ruby. It's a decent chain, and they say they digitize the customer journey. So I went to Ruby, I had to walk through the rain for 20 minutes. I arrived there, and I booked it before. So I walked in, and then they said, look, you have to check in. We're a digital hotel, so you check in yourself. So then there was a tablet on the thing, and I typed my name in it, and I filled everything out on the tablet, which takes, I think, twice the time that somebody would take if I just told them who I am. And then they print your room card, and then you get it. And this is the automation of the hotel. This is how they reduce personnel. So what we do is, we took the whole customer journey, and we said, look, we want all of this actually to be done by the customer, but to be done by the customer when he or she wants to do it. So what we did is, we created a customer journey where you check in when you want, and you don't check in on the day of arrival. So what you can do is you can book today for May 2022, and then you get a WhatsApp or SMS or email, whatever you chose, you can choose it. And then it says, look, you need to check in, okay? 2 minutes, check in whenever you want, we're ready for you. You check in, and then it says, well, perfect, you get the key on the day of arrival. On the day of arrival, we send you WhatsApp, look, here's your key, and your key's on your smartphone. So you don't actually have any physical interaction on site anymore if you don't want to. There will be somebody you can talk to, but you don't have to talk to them anymore. So actually, there's a very interesting metric that we just finished yesterday, and the metric is that in Berlin, in the last 2 months, over 60% of our guests did not interact with us outside of automated messaging flows. So almost 2/3 of the guests went in and out without us doing anything.
So in the end, we invest in a kind of software and design.
In the end, it's a brand plus tech stack, yes.
How do you manage any COVID restrictions?
In general, just like how you manage it. Well, in
When you
Berlin,
have lockdown or when you're not allowed at least to, you have to prove at least if your guests at least are 2 times vaccinated, 3 times vaccinated or whatever they are.
it's the same way I got to Spain today.
Day-to-day testing, let's say like this.
Yeah, I mean the thing is how I got to Spain is I had to upload this the certificate and then I got a QR code. In the same way that because you have to check in and you have the Meldepflicht in Germany, so you have to be registered anyways. The additional step in the check-in, and it's very easy to manage for us because it's digital, is upload your certificate. We validate it. We have to validate it once, and then you're good to go. And you don't get your keys if you're not validated. So if the restrictions get harder and it's 2G plus, for example, you have to validate and you have to give us a test certificate. Otherwise, you don't get your key.
Well, financially, then of course the question that Art just has taken has also another, let's say, angle, because one thing is how you manage the process. The other thing is what happens if the hotel has to close for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, because as far as I understand it, you are obligated to pay the rent to me if I'm the investor.
There's ongoing discussions about that, but it looks like the investor wins in the end. In general, what we do as a product is, and I can show it here very clearly, this is a hotel room in Bonn. This is a product prototype, and this is the difference maker for that. It's a kitchen, it's fully equipped, and we buy a hotel. But what we do is we actually market the hotel as a hotel, and we market the hotel as a service apartment. And we can easily manage the services. What do you want as a service? Is it additional booked service? Is it the normal service level? And what we can do, for example, if Corona comes, and we're experiencing this right now in Berlin, we're at 88% of 2019 numbers of the old operator. We should be at 110 if there wasn't Corona. But what we do in Berlin, for example, there's a headquarter of N26, 5 minutes walking distance. And we have 4 people renting for 30 days and more. And this is then actually, we can do a sort of residential accommodation. And we reduce the service to be in line with COVID restrictions. And then we can actually occupy, when they say hotel operations are have to be closed, we can say, look, okay, we do only residential, only 30 days plus, and that's it.
So you assume all the risk that a hotel operator has, but you don't have the stones and bricks.
Yes.
So this is nothing that you care about, but you have the personnel and all the rest that any normal operator also has.
We have reduced personnel because we don't have this process anymore where I go into a hotel and there's
So
someone
you can
standing
do 4-star
there.
or 3-star, or what is what you can do?
I think in general you can do whatever you want. This is sort of upscaling luxury. So there is personnel. So because this was a big concern of people we talked to, and they were like, but is there no one? Is it a ghost hotel? You just walk in, there's no one there. There will be
There's
someone.
no bar?
There is a bar. You will get a gin tonic. But you can choose to engage. And this was the big thing which we wanted to solve is we need to have more optionality in the customer journey of hospitality. We need to be able to choose when we want to do what. Like if I think about my banking, it's crazy what happened in the last 10 years. Like N26 now, could not have imagined that 10 years ago. And in hospitality, the last 80 years was pretty much the same. You walk in, you stand there, you wait 10 minutes, you sign something, maybe you stand in line if you're lucky, and that's it. And this is what we changed.
What's your valuation? Because you just talked about.
Yep. We're raising 4 million at 20 million post money. And we're halfway, so we have a lot of strategic investors right now. We have our pre-seed investors that are strategic investors that set up the PropCo, and a few weeks ago we also got Values Real Estate, a fund manager and real estate developer from Hamburg. They have around 1.5 billion under management, and well, it obviously opens some doors if you can access a portfolio like that. So, what's your minimum ticket size? We do 50K. We do 100K would be better.
Typical tenure of your lease contracts, of your rental contracts.
Yeah, so the question was typical duration of rental contracts. The normal one is 15 plus 2 times 5, so this means we have 15 years fixed, and then we have the option on our side to prolong 2 times 5 years. So 1 times 5 and another 1 times 5. So if it goes well, 25 years, if it goes bad, 15 years.
That's a long time. long time, and how do you pack it up for the investor? How much, if you basically look about a yearly rent, and how much half yearly rent, 2 yearly rents, what basically half yearly rent.
So
if you go bust, basically you have with the investor has half a year time to find a new operator.
yes, exactly. The one thing on the investor side which is interesting in our product, if I just jump here, because it's also a very contemporary discussion in real estate, is what is student living, what is commercial living, what is boarding house, how can we circumvent the commercial nature of spaces. In general, what we build here from a ground plan perspective is micro living. We just operate it under this license. In the locations we go to, which are always prime city locations with restaurants on the top floor, cities will always tell us, we would also appreciate if you would do residential. And the plan B will always be, hey, okay, this is perfect.
Yep.
It's residential, it's ready to move in. I rent this out to students for, furnished for 800, 900, 1,000 euros in Bonn, and I'm good off. And I even get more because then I have a little bit more operational risk, but it's good. You have a fallback.
Do you also rent from third parties or only from your investors?
So the question was if we rent from third parties. We do. We are finishing up the proof of concept for that as we speak. So looking to close the first rental contract by the end of this year. And then we have 2 more in exclusivity, which, well, we just have to go through the weeds and it's going to take 2-3 months. But then we also have that, and we also do management contracts. So we're working on 2 management contracts right now, which for an operator are the best case scenario because we assume 0% risk basically in a management contract and get a fixed 10 to 15% return. Good, perfect. Thanks so much.